要は序盤強いけど中後半からやることなくなるよ。レネクトンピックする理由はリフトヘラルドですよ。リフトヘラルドが取れる。そこまでにプッシュ主導権があるから。
I mean, Callista is also open, which is crazy, but I mean, if you pick Callista here, you're just saying like, I dare you.
オンとセジュアニにでも、中盤以降負けるんですよ。勝てんのかなと思ったら意外と負ける。なんか王権積んでても負けてた。もっとゴリゴリタンクに勝てんのかなと思ったけど、思ってる以上にオンとセジュアニが強い。そうでもうレネクトンはマジで序盤のリフトヘラルド取るためだけにトップレーンコントロールしてくれっていうのが安定ピックとして取られてる。オンだろうがセジュアニだろうが。あとは一応フレックス性もありますね、レネクは。ブレイブン・ブラウン、アリスタームーン。これブラウン難しいんだよね。大問題。めちゃくちゃうまくやんないといけない。デジサポは弱いっすよ、カリサと組んだら。デジのいいのスタック貯められないんで。でセジュアニが硬い理由はレベルが高いからです。レベルの恩恵がでかい、セジュアニは。でヘルスが積めるから火力が出る。だからファームしないと弱い、あいつは。Something that we did see in the playoffs early on was Corky, who made a return. I don't think that really suits either of these compositions very well, especially with the Trundle being banned here. The Aatrox ban I like a lot more because this is essentially saying we're going to win Renekton topside here and the bottom lane is going to be more stable for us. ターゲットバンダー。エイトロックス、T バンが最近やってた。The Azir ban, a similar vein, but this does mean Silas comes through.There's no Trundle on the other side. The Trundle was banned away, so I think a smart move from T1. No way to really duel around first objective very well right now in Dom 1's comp against this. Unless they can find another way to get mid prio. And I do wonder what that's going to be for Showmaker here. We've seen the Lissandra work for him this season. We've seen Victor into the Silas. Very middling success. This is the big question mark right now.Danny's got something to say about that. Let's see what he has to say because Showmaker has not said anything just yet. As this is not an easy decision. The LeBlanc can be pretty good into the Silas. And it looks like that is what... アウト嬉しい。
A lot of backline access is normally what you grab LeBlanc for, but T1's composition just in general has very high resistances.
レネクトンハードカウンター、クイーン。
To be hovered here. This would be very interesting. It would allow T1 to have two late game threats in terms of 80 range damage. But I like the Gnar here much more. They...
ボット難しい。ダム1がボット勝つか、T1 がボット勝つか。
T1 though, they're basically fighting fire with this draft, and if they win,
オンを取る必要はないです。
今回はその T1 がなんでオンを取らなくていいかっていうと、カリスタがアムムがいるからエンゲージは足りてるのでトップレーン勝てるマッチアップを作りたいって考えたっすね。ウーコン、カリスタ、アムムってもうエンゲージ強力なんで。
Faker's getting in there. This is a fantastic composition to invade with, and they're looking for Bertle. Not really having much. Faker's tanking turret as well, looking for an angle, but not going to amount to anything outside of Bertle's flash, which is going to be very nice.
Yeah, Dom 1 here, we're like looking at Showmaker. Are you feeling lucky? You think you can find him? Not going to be able to commit. This will mean Dom 1 get vision around both jungle starts here for Owner, and if he had decided to start blue here, would find himself in a miserable position. He is not, of course, going to be doing that, and Dama will try to potentially set up a 3 buff for the Poppy here.
このスタートは T1 まずいですね。
And they see him, pings come down instantly. Uma just going to come over here and try to check this. But yeah. No, not really that much CC in this comp at level 1, so it's fine.
Yeah, just going to be Canyon picking this one up. Good information for T1 at least.
Well, I was going to ask you if you remembered, which I know you do. It was a rhetorical question I was going to ask. Remember when it was Corky as year at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
This is the exact opposite of that. Is fight all the time, fight aggressively. Every
映ってる映ってる。
both teams. Speaking of, we're like still fighting potentially here.
Yeah, so level 2 here. It looks like Owner pretty confident to take this with the red buff. But Phase Rush going to be very nice for Poppy to just say no to that fight.
And T1's gamble on the level 1's nearly leading to a kill on a Bertle, grab his flash, which is quite significant, but right now Canyon the biggest recipient, the biggest winner of this exchange at the moment. Bottom side Preo here, level 2 hit first for Duckdom and Kellen. This is a very annoying lane to play out now as Guma. Obviously once he hits level 2, still a little bit more power there, but the level 1 is where you want.
Yeah, and Silas nowadays, the laning phase it was never really where he looked for his power, unless you're in like solo queue or something like that, potentially, but even then. As Faker is going to be poked out just a bit, and Showmaker has a hefty amount of LeBlanc games under his belt as well. Not quite the number that Faker has, but still 30 games of experience in the LCK alone.
Owner's going to come up here and potentially try to punish this extra prio setup that Showmaker's looking for. I mean, he's damaging the turret plate, but he's vulnerable.
Faker definitely trying to sell it here a bit, but no distortion does come in, and so Showmaker's totally fine.
Yep, doesn't commit to the distortion, so only easy, and there's unfortunately no follow-up CC from Faker there or Owner with level 6. So, not a successful gank, but it does relieve some of the pressure, allows Faker to back here. As Canyon's coming over one more time. Does not actually commit to his blue buff here, wants to set up for a potential dive. Or catch a Wukong coming over here to set up defensively.
Yeah, I think they did spot Canyon coming in here, as Canyon will be spotted now, and they're just going to engage onto him as in comes the rest of the team, but immediately, you're already so deep in here, and Duckdom takes 2 turret shots. Carry will not even go down, and a disaster for Dom 1.
本当に言ってんの?
It does relieve some level 6. So only easy, and there's unfortunately no follow-up CC from Faker there or Owner with level 6. So, not a successful gank, but it does relieve some of the pressure, allows Faker to back here. As Canyon's coming over one more time.
あ、ワードに移ったのかこれ。あ、ポッピーがワードに移ったんだ。
Or catch a Wukong coming over here to set up defensively.
だから読んでんだね。
Canyon coming in here, as Canyon will be spotted now, and they're just going to engage onto him as in comes the rest of the team, but immediately you're already so deep in here, and Duckdom takes 2 turret shots. Carrier will not even go down, and a disaster for Dom 1 Kia. T1 reads him like a book and wins this early game.
Could have just backed off and taken his blue buff and taken a 3 buff start and been very happy with the lead he had while they already had.
誰が置いたワードなんだ。
Draft is better from ahead.
キャリオンが置いて、オーナーかな、オーナーが置いてそうな、なんかワードっぽいんだよな。
They tried to force this so hard, and 2 kills over to the Callista on Dom1's play is just a disaster.
Yeah, Yeah, Canyon really trying to force these ganks to happen. Zeus looks like he knows this is coming. Can he get out of this one is the question. He's just going to hop onto his minion.
Steadfast is so early. He gets the hop.
I mean, it's
あ、フェイカーが置いたんだ。
because he just died, right? So it's like, oh, okay. And he's not even farming. Definitely feeling a bit desperate here for the Damwon Kia jungler.
Just really forced, unfortunately. And I get the idea, you know, you had a lead from T1's, you know, level 1 not going the way they wanted it to, but this is just really aggressive. With the ward here, Karius just instantly bandage tosses him, and then Duckdom tanks turret shots here on the dive. You know, that's the end of it. Like, there's nothing else to explain here. It was a call that was made, and Kellen will lose his flash as well.
Yeah.
The damage is high at this stage. Obviously on the Amumu, or rather on the Draven, not that high.
Carry is having a great time, by the way.
イグナイト見てからフラッシュ余裕でした。
And now even, you know, shouting, oh, I'm gonna leave.
今ケリアの思ったこと絶対そう。イグナイト見てからフラッシ
Then he gave us the thumbs up and the good. He's having a good time, and he should be. Things are going very well for him and his partner down here on the bottom side in the bottom lane. And yeah, Owner just here once again, right there for his team. You see that the Draven is going to get ahead in CS, but it's not going to make up for the 2 kills that Guma has.
Yeah, he'll need a cash out before we can start talking about him reaching parity. Does have a small experience lead here too, so it's not all for naught, and he will still be able to control this lane.
ュ。オートアタックステップはポッピーで止まります。
Unfortunate truth is
ポ
that
ッピーのダブルでパッて止まりますね。
massive amount of gold on this Kalista now that the Draven won't be able to
リン
keep
ク
up
扱い。
these mid-game fights, and that's kind of the tipping point for both these teams is who wins
な
this
ので
first.
宮妻がその後発生します。
Drake fight,
フラッシュアウトできなくなります。
you know, who gets the Drake and who
なのでポッピーがダブル使ってカリスタに突っ込んでくるのが一番カリスタは怖いです。
3 of those wins on this Draven.
Distortion gonna miss, but the chains will hit as
おお
that's not going to land.
こんな判定になるんすか今の。そりゃ聞いてねえよーってなってる。
Kingslayer at the last moment does the flash in from Showmaker will secure the kill. As now you've got Bertol coming in from the top lane actually, and now Owner's in a bit of trouble. Trying to get this kill onto a Poppy, not gonna happen at low health. And
わー、ルブランにダブルキルだ。
kills here for Showmaker.
Yeah, Owner was, I don't think, even really very close to level 6. You see Canyon's only halfway through his experience right now on that regard. If he had 6, of course, you could turn this around very well. I thought it was a cool attempt, but he ends up getting trapped there as Damwon Kia ready to pull the trigger. And Damwon, now 2 kills on one of their carries here. The LeBlanc getting very far ahead of the Silas here. Faker gets caught out. And now this game gets a lot more interesting. So we have 2 strong points for these 2 teams. So I think the Kalista are going to look a little bit better at this stage for those first few objectives. But LeBlanc getting sped up quite significantly towards her later parts of this game. And gets Luden has a lot of extra poke potential here in setting up fights. And just like that, you know, the game can turn on a knife's edge. Damwon Kia take a slight gold lead here.
Yeah, it means that the LeBlanc hits a 1-item power spike extremely early on, and I think it's going to be in the hands of Showmaker to really try to make this early game theirs.
Canyon's charge there stops him from using the ult against him, as Faker has obviously level 6 advantage. Owner comes over and the Kingslayer heals him up, but it's a flash from Showmaker to secure the kill as Owner continues to go back in here and gets chained and knocked into the wall. Like, this was not the fight Owner was looking for, unfortunately. Very optimistic, especially considering that Zeus did not come down. Owner was there. If he did, it would have been even worse, I think. But kind of an odd choice by Owner to decide to not walk away from that loss and try to turn it around.
Yeah, it was definitely a very close play. A little bit of a risky one there. But either way, big rotation now up to the first Rift Herald, which has been the name of the game here. For these 2 teams. We had a huge fight break out in game number 1. Take a look at the vision control right now from T1.
Yeah,
it is insanely in the lead for them.
Owner has 6 now, and he is unseen on a control ward. They all committed to control ward buys here to make sure they could spring traps, but Damwon Kia playing this very patiently, clearing out the bottom side of the vision. Now Faker's isolated a little bit.
Dravenが見えてる。
He's going to find Duck Dom looking for that big Mummy trap as he will force the cleanse and the flash out of Duckdom, but a huge whirling death from behind is going to secure a kill for him. As now fighting front to back though, Guma pretty fed, looking for that damage. Faker will be able to pick up the kill, and the chase is still on. This team can chase so easily with this comp as Flash comes in. Looking for Duckdom, who is flashless, but did you go too far? The answer looks to be yes, as Showmaker with a blue buff is looking to get in there. Faker still trying to...
限界ギリギリバトル
with a huge
えぐいって
out here with this clone, but will not be able to follow up.
Yeah, not going to be able to get close enough to Faker to take him out. Canyon does have Hex Flash, but no regular Flash. Isn't going to be chasing him down either. Birdall teleports mid, and the Herald was not taken in all of this, so looking to actually have a bit of a teleport war here of attrition as we see this wave shoved through from Birdall so they can actually get onto this one. Canyon does not back. He's super low and might have to smite here early. I think Birdall should be able to pull the aggro away from him. Looks like he will be fine, but still, T1, you have to be aware of the fact that they can rotate into this choke point. They don't have control.
いや、欲張りチェイスじゃなくて、
They will take this one away.
その相手のリソース奪ったんだったらチェイスしないといけない。
This is what the LeBlanc can do. Already, well, not even on the Ludens. Thought I saw its proc there, but I guess it must have been the electrocute. Either way.
見てたら上がるけど、
Yeah, this fight for T1 was so forced.
ブラウムの R、ポッピーの R、ドレイブンのフラッシュってもうリソースないじゃん。
Like they don't get the combo they were looking for with the curse of the sad mummy, but they still just have.
だからスキルがないから怖いものがないからチェイスなんだよね。
Damwon Kia don't really have a mid lane that could do that same sort of damage output.
ここでスキルが戻ってきててどうするか考えるんだけど、そこはちょっといっちゃったねって。で自分たちもスキルが戻ってきたからもう一回やるんだ。1キル取ったから有利だよねとかではないんだよね。スキル取るのに重要なスキルいっぱい使ったからチェイスしても俺たち有利だ。
Although, we're looking to get on top of a Braum here. Kellen doesn't have anything, so he looks to be dead. Oh, he has a stopwatch. Missed that one. Might be able to save him as Guma is going to pull the Ren. And actually, it's Keria who is taken out. That's another kill as this game is going a little bit off the rails as Guma now.
これなんかもうアムムの R ないからチェイスしてるけど、ウーコンの R が戻ってきた。けど入れなかった。それなんか CC のリソースってめっちゃ大事で、フラッシュと CC のスキルのリソース。
So the fighting and the skirmishing nonstop is what T1 want to do, but I think they also need to respect a little bit of the power in Damwon's comp defensively, especially when they get some extra time.
Dominus here on the top side. Zeus is getting pretty low, not quite at that Meganar. He's trying to make it happen, and actually, in the Mininar, will just be able to walk it out.
イーブンぐらいじゃない？
We'll survive here. Trade of the, well, I guess no ultimate expired here for Zeus, but we'll get Birdall's Dominus, but he wins out in the exchange, and we'll be able to push this wave in. First Drake. Still not taken. We're reaching the 13-minute mark here, just like game 1.
分ぐらいだったら、その T1 の構成はオブジェクトを触っていきたい構成なんだけど、ドライブにうまく封じられてるね。だけで、イーブンだね。ドライブが機能してる。
They had so much control and they really didn't use it here. This is the kind of
なんで、
stuff we were
こ
criticizing.
こからは結構サイラスが重要だね。
This one's pretty close. That smite is used early from Owner. Trying to burst that one down so they don't even have the scuttle vision. Vision control taken by Damwon. And very scary, as you mentioned, on both sides. You can pull the trigger and you can engage if you want to. So for T1 without vision, they're like, oh, well, we can't really enter that river right now. Especially without Meganar, which Zeus is trying to build up at this point in time. As the Rift Herald will go in full money here for Canyon, as the LeBlanc will not be further boosted.
Yeah, Damwon still just trying to get a little bit more vision here instead of actually starting the Drake up, despite the damage they have in this composition. I mean, the shield bow's been done for a while here for Duckdom, and he's Raven. He has a lot of stats. He does a lot of single target damage. Wants to continue to build up some more stacks over here, sitting on 61 as he pushes this through. And Damwon are just saying, I don't want to start a fight first because you're
ドレイブンがルブランにバトンタッチできたら T1 は結構苦しい。ウブランにシックロック。
You're joking about the Corki as your handshake. This is like the Draven Callista sword clash. You know, like this. Both of these teams want to fight all the time, and fights like this where looks like you have the jump on a support, but he has stopwatch, and then you're like, oh man, Damwon Kia also have a ton of damage. Watch this Amumu just disappear. It's crazy how much damage the Draven has. You have to respect that. The stopwatch buys just enough time for him to get there. And you can see just how variable these fights are. The volatility of these two drafts when they clash is so insanely high, and that's why this game is so high kill so early here, and why Damwon, despite having insane vision control, do not start up that first Mountain Drake, which is now at 15 minutes, still untaken.
It looks like Carry is clearing vision. I've got my eye on that objective now. Very curious to see when that one is going to go down. The Amumu at this point obviously cannot solo it, so that's not going to happen. The top lane looks like Bertle taking more and more aggressive trades, which means that, you know, he has been able to gather himself a slight CS victory here, which is pretty common for the Renekton, as now T1 setting up for the Drake. Looks like they do want to make a try at it. Maybe they'll just clear vision that way again.
Yeah, I mean, that is what it looks like. This Renekton pick doesn't have first item just yet. Still having some trouble putting the pressure onto Zeus' Gnar. We haven't really mentioned it. The Gnar pick, we liked it in the draft, but it is important to note that it has fallen off massively, but it is also Zeus' Gnar. And only players like Zeus, I think, would be confident enough to pull this one out into a Renekton. He's landing super well.
Ooh, nice Everfrost says the trade heavily taken by Faker, or was it a bait all along?
いやー、フェイカー勝ってんだけどな。
Can't really force that further trade. Stopwatch available here for Faker as
え
well.
ぐいな、今の。
And yeah, you know, in the draft, it does feel like T1 are playing a little bit of, you know, patch 12.10 or 12.11, you know, the Silas Gnar coming back out. It's pretty interesting to see. I think Zeus on his Gnar, I mean, able to do stuff like this. He nearly was able to get that last auto. Don't think it would have killed, but still. Damwon Kia are just gonna finally collect this Drake.
So after pushing Canyon back, they knew
キャニオンがなんか3人分ぐらい仕事してるから。この試合のキャニオン、ちょっとイカれてる。頭のネジが飛んでる領域に入ってる。キャニオンさん、キャニオンもう影分身は反則ですよ。ヒットカバーしてドラゴンを取ってリフトヘラルドスティールした。おお、3人分の活躍した、ガチで。しかも、ショーメーカーがリフトヘラルド持ってるの熱い。こっからサイドに行けるから。
I think they definitely went out on this exchange, and had Duckdom been there, I think there's a real world where they crushed that fight, but he was already kind of halfway committed to taking down turrets, so he decides to stay for that. Notice how late he is to this fight. He doesn't have teleport like Faker does, so Faker can actually join into this fight right away. By the time Duckdom gets here, he's like, too late, so decides to back away. As soon as the fight goes south and Damwon Kia tries to retreat, he instantly makes the call to push mid. You can see that there on the minimap is Bertle. Yeah, he's chain CC'd. Damwon Kia want to maybe turn this one around, but without their Draven,
バードルは犠牲になったんだ。
cannot make it happen, and T1 would have just retreated top.
犠牲の犠牲のな。
So the eye, we'll see where that ends up getting dropped. It was picked up by the LeBlanc, so she'll get some value out of a turret if she does get it down. You do, of course, have plates on.
And just throw out bot, and that's going to be two turrets taken already by the side of Damwon Kia. That's a huge amount of map control, and in games that are this close, it's so fantastic to get big vision leads like that early.
今のもヘラブルドを取ってなきゃ T1 が全体的にゴールド有利なんだよ。10ゴールドプラスだもんね、今。100ゴールドでしょ。
Which means that Draven gets free mid push, even if they take this Herald out. Which they do. But Duckdom gets a little bit more control here, and T1 just barely hold this off without any losses. Minus the turret itself, like past the first turret, and just barely defend.
Top lane still being defended by Bertle. He has not let go of that one just yet. the CS numbers more even at this point in time. Zeus has been more and more annoying after completing his Trinity Force already. He does have a nice, about 1,000 gold in the lead for himself. Really, a big chunk of Damwon Kia's gold lead was in the jungle, where we did see Canyon about almost like 2,000 gold ahead of his opponent in Owner.
So let's talk about how these two team comps are going to collapse into each other later on in the game. Like we're already 20 minutes in. It feels like we're trapped in early game because of the amount of skirmishing we've had and stuff because of these two comps. So we haven't really seen a straight up 5v5 fight. They've been crazy fights for early objectives, or just fights, of course, around skirmishes on top side or bottom side, ganks gone wrong, etc. What both of these comps have are a lot of damage with very low range. Obviously, LeBlanc is the exception to the rule here because she can do damage with her Ludens and can do damage from far away and try to assassinate somebody. But that's going to rely on a little bit of vision control for Damwon Kia, which they've been good about on objectives. Haven't been able to get deep wards because this game is so close. But then also what the fights will happen in these fights besides the low range damage is how that is set up via CC. And I think T1 have the far superior set of that between the Amumu ult, Cyclone, Gnar, and Silas, who has Everfrost. So in terms of how everything has happened so far, we're still sitting at only a 400 lead for Damwon, which is now no longer the case with that turret going down bottom side. It's very even, like we're basically dead even in terms of gold. I think T1's comp is much easier to pull off in the later parts of the game. And we'll see how these fights do end up looking because Damwon Kia kind of coasting through this with a nice LeBlanc 202. Draven getting that cash out early. Has a lot of gold himself, picked up a collector.
T1 ここはうまいね。ちょっとダマンリコールタイミングが良くなかったな今の。これでも先にポジションは取れるんでダマン代わりに。サイドタワー2本捨てたけど、代わりにドラゴンの下イとポジションを取れるから。コナーに譲っちゃいけないよバードです。ポジション取った理由はね、ダマンはやっぱルブランのポーク生かしたいからです。ただ代わりに T1 はタワー2本取ったよって。うわうわうわ
carry, and he will be able to pick it up as another crazy skirmish breaks out here. Showmaker picks up a kill onto the Gnar who dove. Also, Canyon goes in and takes out the Gnar, so turns once again into a bit of an even trade.
ポジション取ったって演技すれば関係ねえんだよっつってペカが突っ込んだ。突っ込んだら勝った。何を言ってるかわかんねえと思うが、俺にもよくわかんねえ。
Canyon just looking for a steal and walk away.
Yeah, might be able to, as nope, it's going to be Kalista with the Rend pull at the end of the day, as now on the chase here, it doesn't look like Uma will continue after getting chilling smited.
Now we colloquially call that the second smite here in League of Legends because of how much damage it does when you pull that out. And it was a tough steal attempt there from Canyon, but really at no risk to him, so might as well go for it. As this is just
ボットにレネクが映ったから速攻でファイト。
Will go down. Zeus has an amazing set of plays here, dive CC setups to try to kill Duckdom burst damage. He is picked. They also do collapse here with Birdall onto Faker and trade one more kill back there. But T1 trade up, they grab the Drake. And again, this is still not a 5v5 fight per se. It's a very big skirmishy one.
でもダマンからするとバードルの気持ちもわかるんだよね。ポジション取ってるからポークしてる間に連プッシュしてもっとポークしたい。
Can't be giving these drakes over to T1 if you can help it.
And this has got to stop happening for Duckdom. He's just gonna die. Like, this is just him getting picked so many times.
あなたが神か。神だったわ。前日前の。
Now for T1, I mean, it's an excellent pick once again. T1 are finding every single angle.
Yeah, and it's a flash Gnar, from far away. You think you're safe. You're not.
大丈夫だ。キャニオンを信じろ。キャニオンを。to
get on top of Damwon, and T1 are playing this out beautifully. Canyon
tries,
but he just gets a moo-mooed in the face. And that will be T1 securing the Baron.
So that's another objective going down after a mid-tussle goes up in T1's favor. And it's kind of funny considering that the turret that's still up for Damwon in the mid lane, I think is why they have felt safe to farm like this. But the turret has actually kept the wave in such a space where T1 could threaten more.
A little bit of a play here as the Braum is knocked away, and T1 are turning this one around. Huge cyclone onto the both of them on the second application, as that is going to
No
be
flash, no flash, no flash, no flash, no flash. T1!
pushing down the mid lane and taking wide.
They have Baron still, and they're going to push even further here, I think. Maybe take out an inhibitor. I mean, we're 25 minutes into the game. It doesn't feel like it because it feels like it's just been a non-stop early game. We could never get out of mid.
これ POV 誰なんだ
Even more here.
フェイカーだと思うんだけどな、俺の中では。これフェイカーに投票入るよね。
On the LeBlanc, just not able to do enough. Tries to get a double distortion, immediately goes into the stopwatch, and that might be his demise, actually.
ゼウスのプレイに目立つけど、これめっちゃフェイカー仕事してる。
As it is a little bit risky, but at the end of the day, with the Baron buff, it should just be enough. They're going to target down this Nexus and end it
うわ、
again.
強っ。
25 minutes. T1.
これ MVP 誰だったの
And all of a sudden, they were dominating.
And it's right as we were talking about the CC and the setups they had times to lead to T1's win. Those the goal difference. Otherwise, less than 1,000 for a majority of this game. It's really for T1 that pulling the trigger under that turret and pulling those objectives is just enough to, with the damage we've talked about, kill turrets.
お願いします。
Try scaling.
お願いします。いや、そうよな。そうよな。この試合はそうよな。いや、よかった。そうだよな。
Let's see what the first
絶対フェイカーだよ。票数見たかったんだ。
For Damwon Kia, I think there, but Birdall.
DK were
お願い
looking.
します。
I also really like.
いや、そうよな。そうよな。いや、分かってるね。分かってるね。
I think that
アナリスト陣もキャスターもメディアもミッドレーン。
Oh,
ここで秘密兵器ノグリ投入。
Yeah, took this much, and Birdall had his ups and downs in the series against KT Rolster, but here against T1.
いや、あれはね、ゼウスのスーパープレイとかも全部フェイカーが
Just remember, cast your minds back.
エンゲージしなくていいチャンピオンでしてダメージも出してってやってるから。
Top laners last year, like Nuggery goes, or sorry, not Nuggery, but Birdall, of course. Just to make that clear, Birdall and Zeus. Now, yeah, Birdall sits behind Rascal on Genji. Isn't really
さあ、ノグリ来たぞ。
by Genji until he comes to this team to replace Khan, Hoya, etc. And Damwon Kia, you know, on the other hand, end up playing him here only in playoffs. Zeus just trounces him, really.
やっぱ神には神を当てないといけないという。
I feel Canyon has had a characteristically weak
そうなんですね。